Hello YouTube, Mikey Cal here, and this is video number 18 in my series on utilizing Blender as a video editor. Now, in the previous video, I showed you guys how you can optimally configure your output video for YouTube. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something that is probably the most complicated part of doing video editing, and that is using keyframes. And I just want to let you guys know that this is one of those things that it seems really complicated when you don't know anything about it and you're just trying to figure it out. But once you have put it into context and utilized keyframes for just one purpose, suddenly it becomes really obvious how this works. So let's get started. Now, the first thing that I want to do is I want to change my layout a little bit. Let's go up to this little triangular set of lines up here. You see them? Now, if you actually hover your mouse cursor over that, you'll get a crosshair. And what that crosshair means is that we can now click our left mouse button and drag to the left, and it will make a replica of the window that we actually dragged from. So you can see, if we let go of our left mouse button, we now have two properties windows. Let me show you guys first, just in case you accidentally made too many windows and you want to delete them. You can simply delete one of these windows by going back up to the triangular shaped lines, getting the crosshair, clicking your left mouse button, and dragging to the right. And you'll notice that there's this arrow here, and that means take up this space. Let's let go, and it returned it to just one property window. But let's bring that back. So let's click with our left mouse button, pull over. OK. Now I want each of these to be, I want this one to be a dope sheet editor and this one to be a graph editor. But let's first actually pull this to the right. I'm going to click with my left mouse button, pull it to the right, and it's going to take up this space. There we go. And we'll even this out too. About there, about halfway. And we got to go up to here, this little drop down, and we're going to make this one the dope sheet editor. So click on dope sheet with your left mouse button. And now we have a dope sheet. And click up here to get and select graph editor. And there we go. We now have our dope sheet editor over here and our graph editor over here. Now what I always like to do is always kind of zoom out as much as possible. So hover your mouse over the dope sheets timeline area and hit your home button. And hover over the graph right here and hit your home button. And hover over your timeline down here and hit your home button. And if you haven't already, hit your home button here. I actually like to be able to see my my frame range, so I actually do scroll down just so I can see that, only for the sequencer. So what exactly are keyframes? Well, Blender allows us to designate a starting and an ending keyframe for a specific property of each of our strips, so that we can automatically transition from a starting property value to an ending property value simply by inserting a value for the starting point and a value for the ending point. And Blender automatically knows that we are trying to transition, so it automatically gives us the values of all the in-between frames. So an example of this would be fading out our audio. What we would do to fade our audio out would be we would select a frame that we want to start our audio fade. We would set it to full volume, which it is set to by default. And we would insert a keyframe there. Then we would go to the end of our video at the last frame, and we would set the last frame to a volume setting of 0. And we would insert a ending keyframe there. Now Blender will see that we have a keyframe range and that there are in-betweens, and it will automatically create a decreasing volume setting for each of the in-between frames so that it will smoothly go from full volume to 0 volume, creating a perfect audio fade out. So let me actually show you guys that process specifically. That's the best way to learn, is just to show you. So I'm going to just select a starting frame that we're going to start our audio fade out. And I am going to go and right-click on our audio strip, because that is the strip that we're going to be inserting a keyframe into one of the properties. So we only need to select the audio strip. Now let's go over to our properties on the right for the audio strip, and we're going to go to the volume right here. You can see that it's set to 1. 1 means 100% volume. They speak in 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 100, so just get used to that. So our starting volume should be full volume, so it should be 1. So all I'm going to do is hover my mouse cursor over the volume property, and I'm going to press the I button on my keyboard. And the I button means insert keyframe. And you'll notice that as soon as I did that, the volume actually turned yellow, and it also placed a keyframe up here in our dope sheet, and it placed a keyframe on our graph showing that the value is equal to 1. Because you can see the way the graph editor works is the x value is our frame range over time as we go forward in our movie, and the y value is exactly that. It represents a property value. So you can see that it actually placed the keyframe at the 1,000 or 11,139 frame of our video, and it placed it with a value of 1, which is full volume. And if you actually click this little drop down right here, you can actually see that it actually shows that we have a volume keyframe inserted. Now you can also see the volume keyframe in the dope sheet by clicking on this little triangle right here and expanding, and it shows the volume keyframe right there. But I actually like to keep this one collapsed because you'll see when it's actually expanded that we actually see the same exact keyframe 4 times, and I just want to see it once. It's much easier for us to manipulate later. So let's actually insert our ending keyframe so that Blender can take our starting and ending keyframe and automatically create this audio transition for us. So I'm going to select the last frame in our audio strip by going down to the controls down here and clicking this jump button that jumps to the last frame in our frame range. And when we go over to the volume property over here, you'll see that it's now green. And that's Blender's way of telling us that this audio strip's property has previously had a keyframe inserted into it. So what we want to do now is we want to first set our volume for this keyframe to 0, because this is the ending point, and we want it to end at no volume. Now we hold our cursor over the volume property, and we hit our I button on our keyboard to insert keyframe, and you notice that it turned yellow again. And you can also see that it has a second keyframe inserted here, and you can see one over here. And let's actually make this easier to see. Let's hold our mouse cursor over the dope sheet and hit our home button. And let's hold our mouse cursor over the graph editor and hit our home button. And now look at this curve that it's created for us to create a smooth transition. And look at how we can see the frame range of this transition. It starts approximately at 11,143 and it ends somewhere around 11,761. Okay, so the reason why I like to use the dope sheet and the graph editor is because if I want to shrink the range of this transition, I can simply do it by right-clicking on the starting points, hitting my G button, and then pulling to the right. And if you look at the graph at the right, it's actually showing us how it's changing that curve. So this is going to actually make the audio fade out much shorter. So this is the easiest way to actually really just shrink it over time, whatever our transition is. Now, the thing, let's actually return that. I'm going to hit G on this again and pull it back. Now let's talk about how we can manipulate and change the way that our transition happens by using the graph editor. Now, you'll notice that we actually have our inserted keyframes in the graph editor, and that Blender has created a curve for us that will transition the volume setting from 1 to 0 down here. But you can actually change things on the fly here. We can actually right-click on our inserted keyframe and hit our G button, and we can move it around to a different starting point. Now you'll notice if you look over the dope sheet, it's actually dragging it left and right. Now the reason I like to use a dope sheet for actually changing the frame range is that it's just easier to, it kind of limits it to only changing the frame range. Whereas in the graph editor, it's kind of changing the frame range and the value at the same time. And if I want to make sure that it doesn't actually, it sticks to one of my settings, like the value setting or the frame range setting, I can use my constraint buttons, the X or Y button. If I hit my X button, it will constrain it to going left and right, much like the dope sheet works. And if I hit my Y button, it will just change the value. Let me hit escape to return it to what it was. So that's how you can actually change the settings just using the graph editor. So now we want to start changing how the transition happens, and the way that we can actually do that is you'll notice when you right-click on your inserted keyframe that it has these two handles, and you can right-click one of the handles and pull it, and you can actually change the shape. And we can place the shape by hitting our left mouse button, and it's placed. And that's one way that you can actually alter the transition. Try different shapes, see how they actually sound in this case. Now, this will also work for any other property setting that you change in your video strip. It'll have different kind of effects. I don't know what you'll like, but play around with it on different strips with different properties. But in this case, this will actually change how quickly the volume goes down. Now, we can also automatically change the shape to different popular shapes by selecting both our starting and ending keyframe. We can do that by putting a box around it using our box select. Hit B and draw a box around the two keyframes. Now that they're both selected, you can see they're both yellow. We can go to the key menu and we can select interpolation mode and just select these different shapes and see what happens. Now, I'm going to go over to the dynamic effects, and I'm actually going to add a bounce effect. And look at how this changes the shape of our curve. It creates kind of a audio bounce effect. And I can go back here to the key menu, interpolation mode, and we can try different ones. So that's back. I don't know what that does. But this is just a great way to automatically change it to common transition shapes for our curves. I can do a linear shape, and that just does a straight line directly from, as fast as possible. That pretty much sums up everything I have to say about using the graph editor. And I hope you guys have a better understanding of the differences between using the dope sheet and using the graph editor now and why they work well together. And just remember that you can insert keyframes into different properties. I could have actually inserted keyframes into my pitch or my pan, and it would have made changes over time using a curve in a similar way. And you can also use it on your video strip. You could add a strip modifier. Let's say we could add a color balance modifier, and I can actually insert a color starting point and make it change to a different color. There's all kinds of things you can do. I'm going to do more videos that are going to incorporate the things that we've learned today. So I'll see you guys in the next video.